what is the lesson I needed to learn here? Was this
Boom.
failure, which is an ending, or
Yes.
is only a setback, which gives me feedback?
Where truth resides, done and Shawna, right by your side.
We've all been there before. Plans fall apart, doors slam shut, and life throws us curveballs we never saw coming. But what if those moments weren't the end, but the beginning of something better? Today, we're talking about the power of turning your lowest points into launching pads. This episode is a reminder that setbacks isn't necessarily your story's final chapter. It's the setup for your greatest comeback. Hi, I am Shawna, and this is Dawn. Welcome to Conversations for the Conscious Mind podcast. What say you, Dawn?
Well, thank you. And this is an interesting topic because quite often, when we fall,
Yes.
we wallow sometimes in
Yes.
the loss, in the failure, in the rejection, or the unexpected change, whatever the situation is.
Yeah.
And if we're not careful, we forget that every experience gives us an opportunity to have a lesson.
Yes.
And so if we're sitting there and we're licking our wounds and we're not feeling good and we're pushing people away, which is okay because I
Mhm.
think you have to deal with it. If you suppress it, then you really aren't going to move forward. But more importantly, again, you look at what that experience has brought you, then you use it, like you said, as a springboard. So if you want to see it as a loss only, you can do that, but turn a loss into something different by using what you learned from the loss to help you move forward. So again, the comebacks are most important aspect of setbacks, because if you, again, the setback is something sometimes it's out of your control, sometimes you
Absolutely.
brought it on.
Absolutely.
But the good part is that when it happens and you experience it, allow yourself to heal it, move forward, and then learn from the lesson, figure out what that lesson is, figure out what went wrong, figure out how you could have seen different, maybe even seen the signs in advance,
Right.
and then use that as a springboard to then move forward, or quote unquote come back. How about you?
Right.
How about you,
I
Shawna?
think, let's be honest for the whole thing. Setbacks hurt.
Oh yeah.
Setbacks hurt. And really denying that or even rushing to fix it, it really skips over the part where you feel that you need to feel, you know. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It just means telling the truth about where you are and where you can move with clarity. So acceptance is always first
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to setbacks. Setbacks is like it's okay to say, dang, I screwed up, or dang, this is the pause that I need, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Um, I just feel when that happens, it's a gut punch.
Mm.
It's a gut punch. But when you let go of shame, there go your song, let it go.
Let it
When you
go.
let
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 it
it go,
go.
yes. When you let go of the shame and feeling like
Mhm.
um what that setback is and feeling like that is your worth, that's terrible. That's a terrible feeling. It's like if I fail, maybe I'm not good enough.
Mhm.
And why are you talking negative to yourself?
Mhm.
You know, setbacks are really experience.
Yeah.
Okay, not definitions. That's all. And so
Yeah.
when you let go of shame, it is the first step to seeing, what the bigger picture is.
Yeah. And the old adage, you got to feel it to heal it. And the
Heck
reality
yeah.
is, if it's a bump in the road is one thing, but when it's a setback, you
Right.
feel it. It, like you said, it's a gut punch. It
It's
registers. It registers in a
yeah.
very visceral way. Yeah, generally speaking, we call
Hmm.
them tower moments in tarot, because
Yes, we
when
do.
you see that tower moment, it's like, okay, you may not even have control over this,
Yeah.
or can you determine how long it will last. But the good part is that when it happens, always think this way.
Yes.
Is this my life or is this a moment?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is important because this can be, if you buy into the misery and staying there, it becomes your life. But
Right.
if you put it as an event in your life, it
Mm-hmm.
happens as an event, then it's kind of like your marriage. You know, when
Yep.
you have a wedding, the wedding starts, it's wonderful, it's over, everybody goes home, the event happened, you know,
Right.
and then you move on. You live your life as a couple.
Right.
Excuse me. So, or anything else. Again, if you make this an event, then you see that it has an ending date. It has an expiration date.
There it
That
does.
expiration date says, okay, now what? Now, how do we move forward? How do then we, how do we project ourselves? What is it we want? What is it?
Right.
What is it we want moving forward? What is it? Again, looking at reframing it, saying in my new mindset, because now I'm seeing things in a different way because I'm living a different reality. What is it that I need to see? What it is that I can understand where I'm going? Because remember, the thing is, when you're reframing it, the big thing is, why did this happen to me?
Right.
Let's reframe that. Reframe that
Mhm.
as in, what is this teaching me?
Right.
And you see the difference? The one is, I'm a victim and I will not be able to move on, and poor woe is me.
Yeah.
You should have that experience. But
Right.
at the same time, say, what is the lesson I needed to learn here? Was
Boom.
this failure, which is an ending?
Yes.
Or is only a setback, which gives me feedback?
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. After, after a loss or after a disruption, like the tower card,
Mm-hmm.
all you really are doing, and what needs that even may need to happen, is you just need to recalibrate.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Recharge that battery, re-event, redo something,
Mm-hmm.
and to get you back into balance. Things happen, life happens, and it may mean that your path might change, but that doesn't mean that you're a failure, or the situation is a failure. It's just, I feel like it's wisdom coming in,
Mm-hmm.
and then also what you were talking about was that lesson, finding a lesson out of it without even forcing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay when you don't know why something is happening right away. It's the insight that
Mm-hmm.
often comes later with it. And that's when you really have the time, and you need to take the time,
Mm-hmm.
or you have the time to breathe, rest, and really reflect on what that setback is, so you can have a hell of a comeback,
Exactly.
right? So, and building where you are, not where you should be, but where you are. Real comebacks don't always look like, some dramatic type of rebound. It
Mm-hmm.
just, they're quiet,
Yeah.
they're steady, they're slow, but yet powerful at the same time.
Yeah. And remember, when you were talking setbacks, the one thing that is consistent with a positive comeback
Mm-hmm.
is that you don't do the same thing again.
No.
You learn from it. Again, that's that lesson. You learn
That's
from
the
it,
lesson.
and you then
Absolutely.
have a detour. You take a
Yep.
different path. You approach things differently. You look
Yes.
for the unhealthy patterns that were
Mhm.
existing previous, which maybe have gotten to where you were, the
Mhm.
unhealthy people in your life that also could have gotten you to where you were, or
Mhm.
even just unhealthy path. And it's funny because sometimes it's not working, but we don't see it because other things are working that help us disguise that because we don't want to take it on. And then
Right.
when we're bit in the butt and we're like,
Mm.
damn, we realize it wasn't working. And therefore, so again, sometimes the setback happens even though we do sense it's coming, but because
Mhm.
other things around it, we don't want to mess with it, that we allow it to crash. But the most
Right.
important thing is as you process it, and you must process it. If you avoid the processing part, when
Mhm.
you are trying to, if you forget to heal, in other words, be on your way back,
Right.
you are going to probably set yourself up for yet another failure. So again, give yourself
Yeah.
time to heal. Don't rush it. Don't
Right.
set some crazy deadline because you because of something you read or whatever. Go through the process, give yourself some time, but also don't let it go too long, and then start moving forward. Again,
Right.
looking at what unhealthy pattern, what unhealthy people, or what unhealthy path brought me to where I am.
Right.
And sometimes it's very toxic and you'll know it,
Oh yeah.
and again, sometimes you already knew it, but you didn't want to face it because it was
No.
easier to just deal. It was just
Yes.
easier, like,
Yes.
it's like,
That's
I'll deal with it right now because I don't
absolutely.
have the wherewithal to process it later. So I'll just put up with it for now. And then when it
Hmm.
crashes, you're like, where? And then you're the victim. Be careful
And
of the victimhood, because
right.
and I'm not saying you're never the victim. That's not what I'm saying at
No,
all.
no, no.
Somebody out there, don't send me some nasty messages.
No, please
What I'm
don't.
saying is we have to own part of it no matter what,
Yeah.
because again, part of it is ours. We sometimes saw it coming, or we didn't want to see it coming, or whatever else. And again, sometimes the universe sends you messages and sends you little symbols, and you're like, oh well, that don't know what that means. Yeah, you did.
Right. Right. That's the other thing. When you just dealing with it, it's like, geez, it's like you just packing more things on you when you just really need to pause
Hmm.
and really feel everything. So these are some tips that we're gonna give of what to do, okay,
Hmm.
and how to deal with it. And that's number one. Feel everything. Take that pause. Give yourself permission,
Yes.
okay, to grieve, to be disappointed, to feel angry, and all of that, et cetera, okay? Because when you do, you're allowing the emotions to process
Yes.
the moment, okay? And that when you take that moment to allow that process to happen, the emotional process to happen, all you're doing is making room for clarity to come right behind it.
Hmm.
Because instead of you focusing on problems, now you're focusing on solutions.
Yes.
Okay. So that's when you ask yourself those hard questions, those honest questions.
Hmm.
And this is something that you can use to do, everyone, journal wise,
Hmm.
is what did I learn about myself during this experience?
Hmm.
Okay. What still matters to me?
Hmm.
And what needs to change moving forward? That all goes off of what you just said
Absolutely.
about of just learning yourself
Hmm.
and what to do. And all right, now we're focusing on the solution. I've
Hmm.
dealt with this, now I'm ready to move forward.
Hmm.
Okay. And then creating a comeback plan. That's
Absolutely.
all.
And
Creating a comeback
Shawna,
plan.
if I could interrupt 1 second there,
Yeah.
because I want to change. I would do a paradigm shift there.
Oh, okay.
And it's like and we use the word comeback,
Yes.
and therefore it talks about, again, that resiliency.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I think we should, instead of saying I want to be bouncing back,
Yeah.
no, bounce forward.
Oh, I
Bounce
like that.
forward. Because again,
I'm
bouncing
forward.
back is like I'm coming back from something. No,
Yeah.
I'm moving forward. And
Yeah.
again, you change your direction, you change the thought process. Because
Yeah.
when you're coming back from, or you're bouncing back from, right, you're
Yeah.
still, you give ownership to, again, something that you want to move beyond. And so,
Right.
in my opinion, it's like, the one thing I'm thinking about is, I'm not bouncing back, I'm bouncing forward.
I
I'm
know that's
moving
right.
ahead. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Thanks for the correction
Yeah.
of going forward.
Yeah.
For some reason that just made me think of Diana Ross. That whole song that we always talk about, I'm coming out.
That's
But it's
Miss
like
Ross.
Miss Ross, I got it. But it's that bouncing forward
Hmm.
is such a great
Hmm.
way of putting that because why go backwards?
Hmm.
Why w- setback is setback for a reason.
Yes.
Why not? I guess vocabulary,
Hmm.
um, come back, come forward is not
Come forward
common.
doesn't work. Yeah. Pay it forward, maybe. But yeah.
Right, not come forward because that could be in a
That's a whole
different.
different topic. And we're
We
on
did,
YouTube. We
right.
can't
We
take
didn't got time. We can't we can't go there. But bouncing forward is always better to
Yeah.
say, and a better understanding, because
Yeah.
now you're moving in a newer direction. You're
Right.
not moving from old principles or old things. You are adjusting to something new. And
Yeah.
this may seem unknown. This may seem like, okay, what the heck am I doing? What? Yeah, it's because you process now that clarity, those solutions are coming up, and you're like, wait, I never thought of it like that. I never thought
Mhm.
about doing it like that. I never seen it like that. No, you haven't, you
Exactly.
know?
And the
So,
one thing to keep in mind during the process
mm-hmm.
is take small steps, as Shawna said,
Yes.
incremental steps. Don't take the big ones, but make sure those
Mhm.
steps align with habits, the moving forward habits, the habits
Yes.
that will help you move forward. That again, jettisoning the old bad habits and
Mm-hmm.
focus on the habits which align with the steps that you're moving toward now. And then
Mm-hmm.
with that also comes back to a conversation you and I have had already and with the folks, and that's about boundaries. And
Yes.
you're going to have to institute new boundaries too, because again, part of the problem most likely was boundaries. You didn't set them,
Yes.
or people crossed them and you didn't enforce them. So again, you're going to, as part of the process, you're going to create some steps. Those steps are going to be new steps aligned with where you're headed and aligning with new habits. And those new habits come along with new boundaries, and you're going to set them and you're going to maintain them and
Absolutely.
enforce them. And in so doing, again, that's as you move forward, because
Yeah.
you're blazing a new trail, you know?
Oh, right, right.
Right.
A trail that you probably have never, once again, experienced, felt, seen, or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to make sure during this process, now you know how I am when it comes to grounding yourself. But surround yourself with grounding support.
Mm-hmm.
And that just means, be around people that won't rush your process.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But it's also there that will gently remind you that you are more than that moment, more than that setback.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. More than failure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That you felt like you failed at something.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's very important. Also having that tribe,
Mm-hmm.
your soul tribe, having people that's around you that will uplift you, but also
Right.
let you know that they're not just a yes man
Yes.
or a yes woman, that they're like, listen, I'm in your life for a reason. If I
Mm-hmm.
gotta kick your butt, I kick your butt.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
kick your butt if I gotta kick your butt, but I want to see you win.
Yeah.
And when you are surrounded by those people, man, I will tell you, life is great
It is.
because they hold you accountable as well as you hold them accountable, but you holding yourself accountable as well. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And one thing you mentioned there, which is important, is
Mhm.
when a setback happens as part of the process of moving forward, you had a failure.
Yes,
You are not a
right.
failure. Make sure that as you move forward, again, this was an event. This isn't your whole life. This is an event.
Absolutely.
So you are not the setback. You are
Right.
not the event. You are not the failure. It
Mm-hmm.
was a failed moment. It was a
Mm-hmm.
failure of whatever. Don't make sure you don't become that instrument. The instrument,
Absolutely.
you. Again, don't allow yourself to absorb that. That's super important. Um,
Yes.
and it's interesting because again, as you the energetic shift that happens,
Mm-hmm.
the energetic shift that happens when you are at your lowest and you've come through that breakdown, right? And everything just kind of crashed.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start that evolution of moving forward and of seeing where you're headed, setting that path, and
Yeah.
again, start going up those steps. All of a sudden, that energy shift is amazing because
Right.
now you're getting it back. You're getting back the gusto. You're getting back the wind. You're getting back some of the little bit of the ego. And you do need ego in a comeback. You really do.
Yes.
because you have to believe it first. There are
Mhm.
often times where folks have lost faith or whatever in you because of what you went through, because they can't sometimes separate that, but you need to. And so, again, once that energy shift starts happening, boy, go with it and let that energy flow, because
Yes.
that leads to the breakthroughs, which will take you to that next height, which is inspirational. So embrace
Mm-hmm.
it, draw it in. And also, one of the things Shawna said, one way to get through this, journaling. What did the
Yes, I
teach
was
me?
just about
Right.
to say
What
the
did the
same
moment teach
darn
me?
thing.
Absolutely.
I
And
was just
and
about to say it. Yep.
absolutely. What did the moment teach me? Write it and continue
Yep.
to, and as you're going through it, write about what you're still learning, what it is you need
Mhm.
to know. Visualizations, do some visualizations. See the vision of you that is that rising phoenix. See
Mm-hmm.
yourself where you are going, where you want to be, where you will be. Use
Right.
language like I just shifted when I said want to be, and then I said will. Get rid of
Will.
the once. I will be there. I will this. I will do that.
Yeah. When
Again,
you speak
use your
will,
language.
yeah, when you I just wanted to add
Mhm.
in when you speak will means future talk.
Mhm.
Will is bringing it in. It is calling it forward. So I
Mhm.
just wanted to make everyone understand how important that word, what that word means when you
Absolutely.
say I will. It's
And
you
then I'm gonna
already there.
yeah, and then I'm gonna flip the script really quick on that one with what we were just saying, because also, as y'all know, I wrote the book on affirmations, The
Yes.
Ultimate Power Within, Unleashing the Magic of Affirmations, available on Amazon. But the thing is
I like the plug.
bring in your daily affirmations, and with your affirmations, I will tweak you again with this, because when you're doing your visualization, you're seeing you will be there, right? But when you're doing affirmations, these setbacks, or this setback is my comeback in disguise, right? There's a great affirmation, right? This
Mhm.
setback was my comeback in disguise.
Mhm.
Great affirmation to use. But remember, as you're using affirmations, see yourself in the successful end of the journey. So you
Right.
would say, I'm living in a mansion with my two cars and have no wants or needs in my life that are not met, right? Again, set them in the future success. So
Right.
visualization is I will get there. Daily affirmations, which you're going to repeat 3 times a day. And you're going to repeat them and say them when you mean them and when you say them, but that's going to put you in that mindset. And then also reach out and create a mentorship situation. See if you can find somebody who will mentor you. If say you had a business failure, say you had a failure in your profession, find a mentor who can help you along with that. If you have a business, find a business mentor who can help you with business. If you have other situations, again, do the same thing. If you need therapy, suck it up, buttercup, put on the big pants and go get some therapy. Not a
Yes.
bad thing anymore. It's very
No.
beneficial. And also, like Shawna said, your support system, have the people around you help you, the ones whom you know, trust, and love, who will be there.
Hmm.
Let them help you. These are some
Absolutely.
of the practices and tools that you should implement
Hmm.
to find your way forward, to move forward, to bounce forward, as I said. And
Bounce
again, I'm
forward.
trying to avoid that comeback, because I think comeback is great. And don't get me wrong. But
Hmm.
again, as we were thinking about this, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to come back. I'm not coming back
Right.
here. I'm going there. So I'm going forward.
Right. Right. I also feel like to add on to some practices to stay in the positive and stay with the optimistic type of energy, have a wins journal. Not
Mhm.
just a journal that
Oh,
you
I like
just
that.
dumping everything in, but a wins journal. It can be small progress. It can be little things that brought in, acts of courage that you did, or even reminders of, the times when you've gotten through that was so difficult, have a wins journal because when you have something separate, then that you got to sit back and say, I'm really proud of myself
Hmm.
and I know what I'm capable of. And I know how to move forward when I stay in this energy. And even if you don't write in it, that's something that you can go back and say, oh, dang, why am I tripping like this? I came out of this moment. This is nothing compared to that other moment I had, right? You got to remember, these are moments. These are events. This is not something that is forever. This is not something that you stay in. You're
Hmm.
bouncing forward. Um, Another thing to help bring clarity in is, don't be afraid to spend time with yourself. Okay. But at the same time, don't be afraid to work with others and allow that energy to influence you in a positive way. I'm not saying go toxic here because you will know if someone's for you and who's not for you. So that is the gist of what we're saying of things to do, things to implement when that moment happens.
Mhm.
Okay. So here's a reminder. Okay, here's a reminder for everyone. Your bouncing forward, not come back. Your bouncing forward doesn't have to look impressive. Okay, it's just being real. It
Mhm.
has to be real. It's at your pace, your way, and that's all enough. That's enough for you. So don't rush, don't force, don't um be
Don't
with.
prove. Don't do it to prove.
Yes, that's
To
what I'm
prove.
looking for.
Yeah,
That was the
don't do it
word.
to prove anything. The reality is who
Yes.
do you have to prove? You prove nothing.
Right.
And so if you set out to prove something, then you've
Mm-hmm.
missed the whole lesson probably, because again, you should be setting out to again find that new greater place
Hmm.
and not going back to where you were. You'll never get back to where you were. So what do you have to prove there? So
Right.
don't do that, and that's kind of like also the validation or revenge. Again, you're validating what? You're revenging what?
Right.
No, if that's your mindset, that's a trap. That is a as a comeback of move forward trap. Because again, if you're so dependent on proving something to someone, then you're looking for their validation, really.
Yeah.
And again, the validation or the revenge. Okay, I'm gonna show them. I'm gonna do this and prove. No, come on. Again, use this as a life lesson. Take this in a good way and say, you know what? I will take this. I will own that I missed some things, and then
Mm-hmm.
we'll get to a higher height. And then the things, remember, the comeback should be, or the bounce forward should
Yes.
be rooted in authenticity and not ego. Because again, once you put ego in there, that's when you need the validation. You need to prove
Right.
something, or I'm going to get the revenge. No,
Right.
it's all about you healing and you finding your path and living your genuine life. And remember, it's never too late. This is kind of like I guess we call a closing message. If anything
Yes.
you take from here is to know that no matter how old you are, how young you are, how long you've been in a career, or how short you've been in a career, how much or how little you own or have, it doesn't matter. It's never too late. You're never too broken, and you've never gone too far to the point where you can't
Mm-hmm.
reset, recalibrate, create new steps, create new boundaries,
Yes.
and then align your path with that to get you to where you will be and where
Right.
that success lives. If you give in to any of them, I'm too old, I'm too heavy, I'm too light, I don't have this, I don't have enough money, I don't have this, I whatever. No, let's not entertain those, because what that does is it takes it out of our hands. And
Mm-hmm.
we have to own it. We have to own it. So see it as a sacred pause
Yes.
that you needed, and not as a failure that destroyed you. A sacred pause.
That's
And then
it.
see it as that sacred pause wakes me up and takes me to a better, higher place than I would have been otherwise.
Absolutely.
Quite simply.
Absolutely. So we hope that this conversation has really sparked something in your mind, in your heart, and really motivate you that you're not alone in any of this. These are daily things that people go through. As you can tell of the other episodes that we have already done and the ones that's coming up. These are conversations that are hard to have, and we do get straight to the point
Mhm.
with how to work with it, how to deal with, yeah, how to deal with it and how to work with it.
Mhm.
And there and to just excel it out, but to embrace it and not run away from it.
And I
Okay.
also invite you guys out there, guys and
Yes.
gals, let's put it right in there. Sorry. Anyway,
Yes.
I invite the listeners out there and the watchers out there to reflect on what we talked about. And then if you're comfortable, share a setback experience
Yes.
with us. Let us know what you've gone through. Lord knows, Sean and I have both had our experiences with those.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we are still here and still shining and still glowing and sharing with you. So if you're comfortable and you want to, please don't hesitate, reflect
Yeah.
on what we said, and then share with us. Hit a message if you're on one of the social media platforms. If you're wherever you're doing it, reach out to us and say, you know what, been there. These are what I experienced. Because the reality is sometimes sharing it is, again, getting rid of it. It releases
Absolutely.
it. It's kind of like writing it down and burning the page. It's the
Yep.
same kind of thing, you know? So we invite you to do that before we head.
Yes. Well, that's our podcast for today. Stay tuned for more podcasts, more episodes. Let me get that correct. More episodes. Until the next time, lovely folks.
This is Shawna and Don, or Don
This
and
is
Shawna,
yes,
for Conversations for the
for
Conscious
the
Mind.
conscious mind.
Y'all have a great one.